Welcome to a MW2 Season 1 Reloaded. So I'm recording this basically after December. I've had time to test out the new weapons, see how they've changed or updated in a new way, and I think that I can finally give a good comprehensive answer on where these kind of weapons rank in comparison to the other ones, and which ones you should run in your class, or which ones you should just not even try to run. And to clarify, I'm trying to make this as a what weapon does what and effectively by itself. I mean, things like the right shield, it's not going to work well by itself in its current state, so it might rank in forgettable. Things like that. It's not counting how the right shield, when worn on your back, would be very versatile and useful to run overkill. It's not being ranked like that. First one on the list would be this 5.56 Icarus. It has a good rate of fire. So I would say it tries. It really does try. It tries to be great, but it's not amazing. It's not competitive. Like competitive weapons, I'm going to slam it right up there. I would say that the RPK is what would be a competitive weapon. Because I feel like it has a good rate of fire that, for me, in my opinion, the RPK is not S tier. It performs extraordinarily well, and it will win you gunfights with the proper attachments. But I don't think it's S tier. Maybe in the future it will get ranked S tier based on loadouts, but based on my experience, it's not an S tier. It's competitive, and I'm gonna go ahead and rank the Basilisk as an S tier weapon. Reason being is it's super versatile. You can have this as a one-shot, one-kill. Basically, put a sniper scope on this. You can snipe with this thing. It's a pocket sniper. You can snipe with it, or you can put on Snake Shot and you can run it with dual wield as a close range shotgun. So the Basilisk is extraordinarily versatile for a multitude of scenarios. It will perform well and win you gunfights. So let's move on to our first DLC weapon, the Bass P. I'm gonna be honest, this gun is kind of meh. In my experience, it does not perform all that great. Like, it does not really kill that fast. Like, I feel like it should do more damage than it does, and I lose gunfights because of the fact that it should do more damage than it does. Next up, the Kastov 7.62. Where do I begin? This weapon is super competitive. This is a super competitive weapon. It is amazing. It is like a 3-shot kill. The only reason why I'm not ranking it S tier is because of that recoil. If that recoil was a little bit less, it would immediately be S tier. But other than that, it is so good. Let's get the next one of the family out there. I'm going to be honest. I feel like this one it tries. It's not as good as the Kastov 7.62, but it definitely tries to be as good as it, but it doesn't have the damage that the Kastov does. I know it has a lot less recoil, but it is like the complete opposite of the Kastov. Where the Kastov is good, this one is not good. But where the Kastov is bad, this one is good. Next up, I think I'm going to be doing a decent sniper. I'm sure everyone's done this one. The very first sniper that you will encounter is the MCPR. This was the first sniper I got max level. Honestly, I feel like it really tries. It's not that great of a sniper, but at the same time, it's not bad. You get some good aim down sight attachments on this, and it will do good. But it's not super competitive, and for that nature, I think it's in the tries category. And we're gonna immediately jump into the next one, which is another one that I think you will agree is most definitely competitive. The Signal 50. This thing might not have the best aim down sight time, but you can shoot multiple shots in rapid succession without reloading. You can easily kill 3 people super fast at the drop of the hat. So that is why it's going to be going into the competitive tier. Next up, I'm going to be doing the Minibak. This thing straight into meh tier. I don't even really remember it. I was really happy for this gun to be implemented in the game because in 2019, I did like the Bison quite well due to its high ammo capacity. But in this game, I just don't feel like it performs all that great. I hope they buff it, but until then, straight into the meta tier. Next up, Marksman Rifle EBR. This gun, I feel like it is kind of competitive, but at the same time it tries to be competitive. I really like how it performs though in the Marksman Rifle category, so I think I am going to put it, I'll put it high try tier. High in the tries. In fact, we're gonna move that back to there. That's how I feel like it stacks up, because it's a really nice two-shot. You can put a thermal on this thing, and it performs really well. Alright, let's do the Bryson 800. This gun, it's not the best shotgun. I kind of feel like it tries. So the reason why I feel like it tries is because it performs solid, but the reload does take a long time. It is pretty atrocious. It just does not do very well. It doesn't do as well as the Lockwood, but it doesn't have the reload speed as the 890. And in comparison, I would put the 890 in competitive, because you can get it up to the Bryson with various attachments, and you get that really nice reload speed. So for that reason, I'm going to rank the 800 in tries, but the 890 in competitive. Alright, so next, I'm going to put the knife in meh. I know some of you might not like this, but in my opinion, the knife is what you would use for mobility. It's not really used for what it can do. It can't do much. It will be outperformed by basically anything. I understand that if you're proficient with the knife, you can get kills, but it is much more difficult to get kills with than the other weapons. So for that purpose, I'm going to put it in meh. Next up, the Deagle. Honestly, this gun is very meh. Some of you might disagree, but in my practice and my friends' opinions, this gun does not perform very well. It is not like the old Deagle where you would just fire it away and destroy literally everything in your path. This gun just gets outperformed by the Basilisk and every other pistol. I understand that it does have good headshot potential, but so does every other pistol, and you can get more shots off way quicker. This gun, I understand if you can just go boom boom, they're dead. But at the end of the day, it does not perform as well as the others. Next gun is the AK-74U. This gun, in my opinion, is very competitive. It is so good. This thing will just put people down in 3 bullets, and it has good rate of fire. I don't know what else you can ask for besides that recoil. The recoil is why this is in competitive and not S tier, especially with the recent nerfs. This gun went from S tier to competitive due to that fact. Next up, we are going to be rating the Joker. Honestly, this gun is going unforgettable, because whoever uses this one turns into the Joker, because they have to make themselves smile using this weapon. It is so bad. You can try so hard and do comparatively worse than every other weapon there is on this tier list. In fact, that's why we're going to jump right on into it, and we're going to rate the Riot Shield. This thing is also forgettable. I mean, it was, in my opinion, it would have been in the tries tier, except for they, for some reason, nerfed this thing into the ground. It can no longer do anything that you would like. It takes 3 hits, and what's sad about that is the enemy can just straight up run away before you can get that 3rd hit off, or for some reason, this thing can just be a straight up 4 hit. So due to the inconsistencies and just how bad it is now going to be in the forgettable tier. Hopefully not for the forgettable future. Next up, we are going to be doing the Fennec 45. I'm going to put this straight into competitive. This gun with the proper attachments can just hose people down. It is a very competitive weapon. Lockwood MK2. This marksman rifle, it tries, but in trying, you literally realize how many hit markers this thing gets. I understand that it is so cool to have a lever action in the game, but it is so sad when they do it this dirty. I wish it was better. The FS Hurricane. This gun, it tries. It really does try. It has good ammo capacity, It has good recoil, but it doesn't do all that great. I know you can get good kills with it and good feeds, but it doesn't perform as great as in comparison to the others. Alright, we're going to be doing the RAL. This LMG is, in my opinion, my favorite LMG. And it is so good with the rocket attachments. You can really put people down with this. In my opinion, this one is definitely S tier. It can really do a lot of the things, and it just does well. Put a thermal on this thing, sit in a house. No one can get you. You can literally outpace snipers if they miss. It is so good. It is deadly accurate. It doesn't have as fast of a rate of fire as the LMGs, but it doesn't need it because it makes up for it in damage. This LMG is really good. Alright, so this is the next S tier. The PD Dubs is what I call it. This thing has an incredible rate of fire. It has an incredible amount of bullets. And you can just put multiple groups down with this thing. It performs very well. By far the best SMG in the SMG class, in my opinion. The Chimera, or the Chimera. However you want to spell it, this gun is going to be competitive. We all know it's the Honey Badger, but they decided not to name it that. It is very good. Though I will notice that when I was doing my long shots for this, it's not that accurate at long ranges. So for that case of it not being that good at long ranges, even though it is an assault rifle, does demote it down to competitive. Alright, so the next one I'm going to be doing is the TAC V, I believe is what this one is. It is the battle rifle version, is the one I'm referring to. And I'm going to put it in the tries tier. Mainly because it's a good weapon. You can get reliable one-shot one kills to the head, and you can usually get off 2-hit kills pretty good. It definitely would be better than the Deagle in that scenario. So like how I'm ranking it is the Deagle, right? If you can get 2 kills, but at the same time it just doesn't perform all that great. Then you got the TAC V, which is basically the primary version of the Deagle 50 that makes up for all the weaknesses of the Deagle. So why would you use the Deagle when you can just use this weapon? So we're going to be ranking another rocket launcher, the Pila, and I'm going to actually putting this rocket launcher in the mass section. It's really good for taking out aircraft, but it's kind of meh at taking out actual people. I've noticed that usually when you pull this thing out, you die more times than you would be able to get kills with it. And we're just going to jump right into this LMG. This LMG is also, it's kind of meh. It has a good rate of fire, but it has no recoil as well. And it just doesn't perform as well as I would like it to as an LMG category. It's just not a good LMG. The Victus XMR. Where do I begin? MCR 2.0, except for the 2.0 was a downgrade. This gun was, in my opinion, a pain to level up. It just does not work as well. It's like, take the MCPR, a solid starting sniper rifle, and then just toss it into the ground and burn it. And that's what they did to this weapon, because it is, it is hot garbage. RPG, this rocket launcher is definitely going into the tries category. It tries to be good, but the only reason why it's not in competitive is due to the randomness of the projectile. If that projectile wasn't so random, it would be straight into competitive. And as such, in comparison, the Strela is in competitive because it doesn't have the randomness. The Strela, you just literally point and click, they're dead. The RPG, you can sometimes point and click, but they won't always die, especially once you get to those longer ranges. Sure, the Strela does have the rocket drop, but it's still like point and click and they're dead. Alright, so we're going to be ranking the TAC, the assault rifle version. And the assault rifle version, it is pretty accurate at long ranges, but it's not as good as these other weapons in the competitive tier. It performs well. Honestly, it just performs well. It's not super competitive, but it's not bad either. I feel like that's your basic middle ground weapon. It's just like the MCPR. It's a perfect starting weapon, and that's basically all it is. Alright, so this is the M4 that we're going to rank next.
This gun, I remember using it during the beginning, and this thing shredded. It would be in S tier because it would absolutely shred people. But once they nerfed it, it just wasn't the same. It really wasn't the same. Like trying to go for gold with this thing after they nerfed it, it felt different. It felt wrong. It just did not perform well. Though I will say, it is a good thing because it's actually balanced now. But other than that, it definitely is a try weapon. The Lockman 7.62. Yikes. This battle rifle is a meh. It's really meh. It's not that great. It's honestly worse than a lot of the other weapons. Let's be honest, battle rifles in this game aren't exactly great. We all remember the FAL, and it's just not as great. All right. The STB, this gun, I do like it, but it's not competitive. It is a really good try-as weapon. It does try a lot, but it's just not that great of a weapon. It does fall short of other weapons in the competitive category, but it's also not that bad. And without further ado, we're going to jump right on into the Lockman 5.56. And this thing is also going to be in the tries tier. It tries, it's not as great as the other ones, but it's also not as bad as the other ones. And for that exact case, we are going to actually be putting that bad boy right into the tries category. The MG38 LMG. This LMG was really good. Has a nice rate of fire. In my opinion, it is a competitive LMG. It, in my opinion, makes up for everything the Icarus could not do. It is a solid LMG to do, and it will perform in what you want it to perform in. Though it doesn't have as much damage as the RAL, and for that exact case, it is going straight into competitive. M13B, this gun, it was way too hard to freaking get than it was actually deserving of what you got. It underperforms, it's forgettable, it doesn't do much, it's straight into meh. The M16. So this gun, I know a lot of people will say it's pretty bad, but with the recent buff in mind, I feel like it is in the tries category. Because if you can, theoretically that is, if you can get a 3-round burst kill with it, it will put people down. But more than likely it will not do that. So in that exact scenario, it is tries. With another buff to make that first 3-round burst an effective kill, once they give it that buff on this weapon, it will go into the S tier. But until then, it's going to have to be restricted to the tries tier. So the starting pistol, M80, this gun, especially with dual wield, is definitely competitive. It is a good secondary to have, and it will put people down. I do know that the ammo is kind of a problem, so that's why it's going in competitive, but a Kimbo with a laser sight, it will really put people down. The X12s. The X12s it's kind of a meh pistol. It does perform well, but it doesn't perform as well as the others. And without further ado, we're going to go right into the X13 Auto. So this pistol, it tries, but it's just not as good as the other ones. It is effective in spraying, but the kills are kind of inconsistent, and for that reason, it is a tries weapon. Kastov 9K. This weapon, it tries. It tries to be good. It really does, but it doesn't do more than that. The SAB marksman rifle, it would go into competitive, but because they nerfed it and reloaded, or in the season 1 start, I don't really recall which one, but once they nerfed it, it fell down a tier. It's gonna have to sit there and rest for a bit until they either buff it or leave it as is. The Vel 46, it tries to be good. I will say it is like upper tries. It's relatively good. I will get good kill feeds with this weapon, but I don't think it's super competitive. But it may see some competitive play, but not a whole lot. F-Tac Recon. I like this weapon. It's S tier. This thing has a really good single rate of fire. You can put people down in 2 shots. The iron sights are good enough to not need to use a reticle, so you can use other attachments that will make it better instead of having to use a reticle, which is very important. And not only that, but it also has an auto fire mode. I know the auto fire mode isn't as good as a single, but it just gives it that little bit of extra versatility when you're trying to get that, just win one-on-one engagement, and it will win that one-on-one engagement. Though single fire is more effective for 1v3s, etc. Expedite 12. I know some people like this shotgun, but I am not some people. This shotgun, where do I begin? It has a slow reload rate. It doesn't perform all that great in range. It takes usually 2 hits to kill. It is basically a low skill level weapon that is punished due to the fact that it's a low skill level weapon. Due to it being a low skill level weapon, it has a slow reload rate, a low damage range, and it just overall performs worse than the other weapons. This gun will see play in the lower skill levels, but in competitive, you may never see this thing have the light of day. The SO14. This marksman rifle isn't that bad, but it's also not that good. I think this is going to be a meh tier marksman rifle. It's not as bad as the Lockwood, but it's also not that amazing. You can get solid kills with this, but it doesn't perform as well as the other marksman rifles or the other guns for that matter. The MX9 SMG. This is competitive. This SMG, it is competitive. It has a really good recoil, a solid rate of fire, and decent damage. This thing will be competitive. HCR 56. This gun, it is solid. It's not that great of an LMG. I will say it does perform well, but it doesn't perform as well as what you would want out of a competitive weapon. It has a low mag rate for an LMG, but it does have a good rate of fire with a good recoil rate. I'd say it's a good weapon, but it's not an amazing weapon by any means. The Lockman sub. This sub is, in my opinion, it tries. With the recent nerfs, it has taken a blow. It used to be a competitive weapon, but I would rank it in the it tries category. The SAB 50 is definitely going into the meh category. Reason being is it has a slow aim down sight speed, like an oddly slow aim down sight speed, just like the Victus XMR. It doesn't have the qualities of a sniper that I would like. I would say that this sniper favors campers and not so much people that are going to be aggressive. And so for that reason, it is going into meh tier. And we're going to follow it up right with the SPR 208. So with the recent nerfs, this one is also degraded down to meh for basically the exact same reason. This gun used to be really good, but now I feel like it gets more hit markers, just like the Lockwood, but not as bad as the Lockwood. The LMS. This one is also pretty meh. It isn't that great. It really isn't. Hopefully it gets a buff, because it needs one. The SPX. This sniper is going straight into competitive. You can make an incredible quick scoping build with this sniper, and it will do everything you've ever wanted. It is very good. In fact, actually, looking back on it, I think I'm going to actually move that up onto the S tier. It deserves S tier. It is solid. It does everything you want. It can be good for camping. It can be good for quick scoping. That, in my opinion, is a solid pick for S tier. Lockwood 300. I know you've been waiting for this weapon. I'm finally going to rank it straight in the S tier. They tried to nerf it, and yet it is still strong. I understand this thing can't get more than 2 kills at a time, but it doesn't matter because you will put those 2 people down. It has slug rounds, it has slug explosives. It has everything you will need out of it, even incinerator rounds. It is super versatile. This shotgun is the shotgun sniper for a reason. And this one, the last tack weapon on the list. This one, we're going to put this one in tries. It's not as good as the other tries. I would rank it bottom tier tries. It's borderline tries, borderline meh. For those of you that have watched to the end of this tier ranking, I hope you guys enjoyed what my biased opinion on these weapons were. Please leave your comment down below on where you think certain weapons should change in the rankings, and just voice your opinion. I'm very interested to see how you guys will comment on these weapons. I feel like I did a decent job of ranking these weapons based on how I thought they performed, and I hope you guys have an excellent day, and don't forget to hit that sub and like button, and stay tuned for the next upload.